Why clarity comes after silence? Most people believe clarity comes from thinking more. If I just think harder, if I analyze longer, if I collect more information, then I will finally understand what to do. But clarity does not come from more thinking. It comes from less noise. Confusion is rarely a lack of intelligence. It is usually an overload of stimulation. You wake up, phone. You work, notifications. You speak to people, opinions. You scroll, comparison. You worry, future scenarios. Your mind never actually stops. And when the mind never stops, it cannot organize. Clarity is mental organization, and organization requires space. Think about a messy room. If the room is full of objects everywhere, you don't need more furniture. You need to remove things. Only then can you see what is actually there. The same is true for your brain. Neuroscience shows that when you are under stress, your nervous system activates survival mode. In that mode, your brain prioritizes speed and protection, not wisdom. The emotional center, the amygdala, becomes louder. The rational center, the prefrontal cortex, becomes quieter. In simple words, when you are overwhelmed, you cannot think clearly. And most people try to solve overwhelm by adding more input, more podcasts, more advice, more talking, more planning. But clarity is not created by adding. It is revealed by subtracting. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is when your nervous system resets. When you remove constant stimulation, something powerful happens. Your brain shifts from reaction mode to reflection mode. You stop fighting your thoughts and you start observing them. There is a big difference between thinking and observing your thinking. When you think nonstop, you are inside the storm. When you observe, you step outside of it. And that distance creates clarity. Many of the most successful leaders, investors, strategists, they do not make decisions in chaos. They step away. They take a walk. They sit alone. They delay response. They allow the emotional wave to pass. Because clarity never appears at the peak of emotion. It appears after the wave settles. Have you noticed this in your own life? When you argue with someone, in the moment everything feels urgent. You feel right. You feel intense. You feel pressure to respond immediately. But the next day, after sleep, everything looks different. Nothing changed externally, but your internal noise decreased. And suddenly, you see the situation more objectively. That is, clarity after silence. Clarity requires 3 conditions. First, reduced input. Second, regulated nervous system. Third, time. Not endless time. Just enough time for your brain to reorganize information. If you want to practice this intentionally, here is a simple structure. Every day, create 30 minutes without stimulation. No phone, no music, no podcasts, no conversation. Just you. You can walk slowly. You can sit. You can look outside. But do not distract yourself. At first, your mind will feel uncomfortable. You may feel restless. You may want to check your phone. That discomfort is withdrawal from constant stimulation. Stay. After 10-15 minutes, something shifts. Your thoughts slow down. Your breathing changes. Your body softens. Now ask yourself only one clear question, not 10 questions. 1. For example, what is actually important here? What decision aligns with my long-term direction? What am I avoiding because of fear? Then stop. Do not force an answer. Clarity is not forced. It emerges. Sometimes the answer appears immediately. Sometimes it appears the next morning. Sometimes it appears 2 days later when you are calm. But it will be more precise than any answer you created under pressure. Another powerful rule: never make important decisions in emotional intensity. If you feel angry, excited, afraid, euphoric, you are not clear. You are in chemistry. Let the chemistry pass. Silence allows chemicals in your body to regulate. That is why sleep brings clarity. That is why walking alone brings clarity. That is why journaling in quiet brings clarity. Because clarity is not intellectual effort. It is emotional balance plus mental space. There is also a deeper reason silence works. When you stop external noise, your subconscious mind continues processing in the background. Your brain naturally searches for patterns and coherence, but it cannot deliver insight if you interrupt it every 5 minutes with new input. Silence is like allowing your internal system to finish its work. Imagine constantly restarting a computer before it completes a process. It never finalizes anything. That is what constant stimulation does to your thinking. When you give your brain uninterrupted time, it completes internal processing, and the result feels simple, clear, not dramatic. Clarity does not feel loud. It feels quiet and stable. You do not feel adrenaline. You feel certainty. Certainty is calm. If your decision feels urgent, loud, and emotionally intense, it is probably not clarity. If it feels steady, grounded, and almost obvious, that is clarity. Silence is not weakness. It is discipline. In a world where everyone reacts instantly, the person who pauses gains advantage. Because while others are reacting, you are organizing. While others are speaking, you are observing. While others are rushing, you are aligning. And alignment always wins long term. Clarity comes after silence because silence removes distortion. When distortion disappears, truth becomes visible. Not because you searched harder, but because you stopped interfering. If you cannot sit with yourself in silence, you will always depend on external noise to tell you what to do. But if you train silence, you build internal authority. And internal authority creates stable decisions. And stable decisions create stable results. That is why clarity comes after silence. Not because silence gives you answers, but because silence allows you to hear them.